Wonderful. Okay. I'd like to call to order the special council meeting of Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. I'd like to move to adoption of agenda. The council adopts the November 12th, 2025 special council meeting agenda. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Rabble. Discussion? Do you want to vary anything? Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to call the question then. All those in favor? That's unanimous and carried. I'm like eyeballing you. Okay. Adoption of minutes, none. Item number 4, new business. 4.1, we're going to go through the 2026 grant forecast. There's multiple recommendations. I figure we'll just work in a beautiful little whoop, you read one, I read one, you read one. So off you go, Councillor Wall.
Sure. The council authorized staff to apply for the Canada Summer Jobs Program for funding of 2 summer students for the 2026 season, and further direct that the associated costs be included in the 2026 financial plan, and further that the Chief Administrative Officer be authorized to execute all required program documents.
Seconded by Councillor Rabble. Discussion? Councillor Rabble?
Yeah, no, we've had this every year, and sometimes we've had a few more, sometimes we've had a few less. My understanding, based off this report as well, is we had 2 last year, so it's kind of the same. And maybe the costs have gone up slightly, but you know, it's something that we already kind of put in the budget anyways. I think it's a good program. It's helpful.
And we normally get the money back anyway because
it's less than you know. Trina and I were calculating it. Administration and I were calculating it a couple of days ago, and it was less of a return to the village than I expected. 25 costs. We spent 27,585 and 52 cents for the 2 students, and the village received $4,958 back, which meant a net cost, a net expense of the village of $22,627, which is, I think the difference is that we're a public body underneath that grant stream. We don't have 100% of the minimum wage costs covered for the applicable positions, nor the MERCs. It's basically just half of the minimum wage for the duration of the grant period. But that's the rates on the CSJ.
we do work our summer students pretty hard though.
Yes.
Them public works boys, man, they're always
Yeah,
they're always harping on them. Yes, Councillor Wall.
You answered part of my question, so I'm trying to think how to rephrase it here. Because we get a portion back, and the amount that we spend. In your opinion, Mr. Malkinson, do you think we get our money's worth out of the program in the summertime?
Nothing like being put on the spot.
No, I'm confident in it. You know, the students that we've had, you know, year over year have done really good work, and I think there's what's been communicated to me from the staff is that it's pretty valuable in the event that we have high precipitation summers, because that can really put pressure on the mowing over at the parks there. So it can be some, you know, welcome relief during those kinds of summers.
I asked that question because I knew we only got some of it back, but I wasn't sure if we were getting 10% back or 90% back or
well, and just because we have Chief Vo here and he could offer some of that. He's worked very, very closely through Public Works with our summer students, and so, you know, I think you can speak to how beneficial this is to the village now.
It's very, because we can, you know, you guys can say, oh, instead of cutting the grass at this much, we'll cut it this much. Well, that's fine, but now we're mowing it twice to make it look just as pretty as we did it more often. The last 2 years, the summer students, the 2 of them that we've had, been really good. You know, we finish a job, or they finish a job, and it's not like, I'm going to go hide over here. They're like, what is there to do? When we had the 4, last few years has been good with 2, just because of the weather conditions. The grass wasn't growing as fast, but they kept busy. Like some of the projects we were talking about, yes, it was approved, like painting this office, or the outside of the building. Well, there's 2 people, 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very beneficial. And if we start letting the grass go from this to this much, you guys are going to hear about it. And then it just puts a lot more strain on the equipment. If we look at the railway trust area, we get that property. I mean, that's, you know, another full day of equipment, 2 days. So yeah, it's very beneficial. And then you take summertime or regular guys with vacation and all that.
Having them is, that is definitely
Well, that's good enough for me.
Offers that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to call the question then. All those in favor? And that is unanimous and carried. Okay. Recommendation number 2, NDI intern application. The council authorized staff to apply to the NDIT's 2026 intern program to host an intern. And the council authorized staff to undertake requiring mentoring, training, and financial contributions as outlined in the program guidelines. And that staff be directed to include associated program costs in the 2026 financial plan.
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Rabel. I have a question. How do we keep Jimmy? I know, it's the question we all have.
I have a question for Mr. Hope.
How do we keep you? Yeah. You know, you've been a valuable member of our team, and I'm really hoping. So, does this have like a second year bit to it by chance?
I think there's a possibility for that. Jimmy and I have discussed that a little bit before. Have you heard any whispers on your program end on continuing? There's the potential, like I understand the potential for it. I don't know that there's definite on it. So there's maybe some stuff in camera that I can offer about staffing implications, so to speak. But
He fits so well. He's a Pooskoopian through and through. He just doesn't know it.
Well, yeah, fair enough. I really have appreciated Jimmy's work as well. We're all, quite thankful for him. So I think if there's a way that we can, keep that investment going and, see some of the good work that he's taken on, continue, I think that would be of good value to the village. So.
The wonderful thing too is that I must say regarding Jimmy is that he's done a wonderful job of presenting how well he's enjoyed his time here at the Village of Pooskoopi. I know when we first traveled down to do the whole NDIT intern thing, a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, you're going into like a hick town in the middle of nowhere. And I think he's kind of proven to them that we are a very fast-paced, a lot happens here. Everybody's juggling 15 hats.
Don't assume what he's...
Yeah, right. Never assume. And I know when I met with them, with Jimmy in the summer, they were very impressed by the work that he was doing, by the different things he was being exposed to. And so, I don't want to say we should receive like an intern host of the year ribbon, but like...
Were they excited good or excited bad?
No, they were like super stoked.
I think we just got lucky.
Yeah.
I think we got lucky, and if anyone should be getting a ribbon, it's Jimmy.
Yeah. So yeah, no, exactly. Councillor Rebel?
On the cost side, so the village has to pledge 10 grand. The NDIT grants 45 grand. We also have to do 2,500 in professional development. But then there's 10 grand back, but it's housing allowance. How does this flesh out at the end of the day? Is this a zero cost or 10 grand-ish?
10K all-in cost
Okay.
on the municipality side.
Okay.
The 2,500 and the 10K are NDIT contributions towards the program.
Okay, cool. So 10 grand at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So we would need to put in about 10 grand into our 2026 budget then. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect, thank you.
Is that budgeted for?
You haven't passed your budget yet, but if you folks are good with, if you guys give us the nod, we'll basically draft the financial plan to incorporate the 10K.
Okay.
I'm going to call the question, then all those in favor? That's unanimous and carried. Wonderful.
Okay. Number 3, NDIT grant writer application. That council support the Village of Pooskoopi's application to the Northern Development Initiative Trust Grant Writing Support Program for 2026, and that council commit to providing overall grant management and financial oversight of the project, and that council authorize the allocation of staff time and municipal resources necessary to host the grant writer position, cover any costs not funded by the program.
Seconded by Councillor Wall, thank you. Discussion? Yes, Councillor Wall.
Through you, Mayor, to staff, is this what we did last year?
Yes, through your worship, yes, it is.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Councillor Rabbit?
This is like a zero cost situation, right?
That was a small spend.
Yeah, small.
76%, it's up to $88,000 to a maximum of 76. So I think the exposure for the village is like $2,600.
Yeah, I was going to say it's like 2,500, 2,600.
So we've got a couple $100,000 back, I think.
Oh,
More than that.
more than that. Millions, actually.
Yeah.
I'm trying to underestimate that.
The current grant writer for the village is like a machine. Like depending
Yeah.
on how he keeps that pace.
I don't know either, because I work with him with the food bank and
Right.
a few other things, and
He's scary.
he knows how to get it done, that's for sure.
And the other piece to this is not only for the village, it's for our local nonprofits
It's
as
for all
well.
our nonprofits, yeah.
Which is huge. It's huge to have that, and I think that's very important.
Just for the food bank, he's made us $40,000 in grants.
I just wanted to make sure that's the same as last year, because
Yeah.
I didn't want this to be something different than Mr. Ackerman.
Yeah,
And
no,
then
he's wonderful.
And then all of a
We
sudden.
will
have
keep him
something
as long
else.
as he will keep us.
And, he and I were just talking about it this morning, he's been satisfied in his role, the village has been nothing but satisfied, I shared that with him as well. All due deference and respect to the purchasing policy, but yeah, point well taken. And
Yeah.
it's positive to hear that feedback, I'll definitely make sure I pass it
So is that an ROI of like 10,000% or 100,000%, or what is that?
along. He's got stats, on it, he's.
ROI, it'd be like 100,000%, he's just doing it.
He does have a website that talks about the total number, I think he has a running total on that site.
Yeah. so
Really?
like- Yeah. Okay, we call the question then, all those in favor? That's unanimous and carried. Wonderful. Okay. Councillor Wall, number 4?
Whereas the province of British Columbia, throughout the Union of British Columbia municipalities, has established a Community Resiliency Investment CRI program to support fire smart activities that reduce the risk of wildfire impacts on communities, and whereas the Fire Smart Community Funding and Supports Program provides local governments with financial assistance to complete activities that increase community resiliency, reduce wildfire risks, and improve emergency preparedness. Therefore, it be resolved that Council support the submission for a grant application to the Union of BC Municipalities for funding under the 2025 BC Fire Smart Communities Funding and Support Stream, and it be further resolved that the Village of Pouce Coupe commit to providing overall grant management and financial oversight for the proposed project, and to meeting all program requirements should funding be approved, and it be finally resolved that the Chief Administrative Officer be authorized to execute and submit all required documentation on behalf of the Village of Pouce Coupe.
Second. That was a mouthful, wasn't it?
I can tell who wrote it.
Yeah. Councillor Rowland? No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
I do have something to say.
Councillor Wall.
Okay, so this seems like to me that this is a good program that can provide additional services to senior citizens and residents in Pouce Coupe when it comes to yard maintenance and clearing and things like that. Am I on the right path there?
Kick that one off to Larry.
Yeah, yes, it is. It's a 2-year program. We apply, we get it. We don't use the money. There's no retroactive action to us.
Okay.
So it's kind of win-win. It's 100% funded. And you're right, this is like I think Fire Smart themselves, their business, they did 74 properties this summer. So basically, you get invited to go to your house, and they will help some, the ones that they've done, but they will say, okay, you got wood cracked up against the house. Oh, if you move it over here, away from your house, it's less risk, all the trash and tree shrubs and all this other stuff. So it is very good for the community. The first year is the big one. It's to build into the program to, what's our plan, what's the community's plan, and then after that, it's going through and doing those inspections for the community.
To support Blair's comments, there's again, we don't have program configuration totally figured, we haven't written the application yet, but an excerpt from the program guide is included in the report. In year 1, eligible program activities include hiring a coordinator, performing community education, and performing assessments for community assets like fire assessments. Then years 2 and later, the program can include fuel mitigation programs for seniors. That's a direct example that they have in their program guide. Debris removal days or chipping events and fuel management planning work. So I think there's some good integration of village's existing priorities.
Wonderful. Councillor Wall.
I'm not a firefighter, but based on my own observations, walking around Pouce and surrounding area, I think this is a program that could be very beneficial to us, especially if we get it and it doesn't cost us anything. I think we'd be silly to not go for it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yes.
This is, like I say, it's a 2-year program, 2 years time. We don't want to apply for it again, we walk away from it. There's no cost, and it's not like something that 2 years' time, the village is gonna have to pay for.
Yeah.
There's no commitment, whoever applies for the job, it's well known that it's a 2 year, and in 2 years you have to apply for it if you guys choose to apply for it again.
Sounds like you're in support of it.
You definitely.
You wrote the damn report.
The fire chief wrote the motion?
Not the motion, no.
Okay.
The report says on it.
The report, yeah, okay.
I think it's a really important program. I've seen a lot of their documentation. It's quite kind of widely distributed, but the actual thing of actually somebody coming around and actually saying, oh, this and this, that is really helpful. I didn't know it was only 2 years. It seems like it's some stuff's ongoing, and then, so with that piece it sounds like 2 years hit the ground running, and then we've got, resources that we can give out. We've still got the knowledge and training that we can still kind of continue through the future.
Fairly common your worship that you will have communities that are renewed, year over year beyond year 2. The reason why it's referred to as 2 years in this report is because that's kind of the timeline for the application. Basically, you reapply after the 2 years.
Yeah, and according to the gentleman that presented this to us, didn't say how many years in a row, like it's 2 year cycles, they've never been turned down. So if you apply in 2 years, 2 years out, you definitely get it again.
And will this grant cover the cost of you dressing as Sparky? Yes.
I don't mind. I've never before. I
I just want to make sure that that's like within this grant stream because it's very
It
important.
could be.
Get back to you.
Loose parameters.
It does sound like it's a lot of focus on the exterior of a property. Does it also deal with the interior stuff, or that's already existing programs?
Mostly on the outside. Even for us, like we can go, like if you call us, we can go inspect your house. There are certain rooms that there's no go. Like the washrooms, the bedrooms. So we're, even us is limited to do an inspection. So basically, this is basically your outdoor property.
Okay.
That aligns with the objectives of the program. It's kind of field mitigation and wildfire stuff. Rather
Yeah.
than, indoor stuff.
Okay,
Wicked.
I'm going to call the question. I know this is the one you're waiting for, Chief, but I actually have a question from the next one if you don't mind just hanging around for one more. Thank you. I'm going to call the question on this recommendation. All those in favor? And that is unanimous and carried. Wonderful. Recommendation number 5, the Council of the Corporation of the Village of Poughkeepsie direct staff to apply to the Northern Development Initiative Trust Business Facade Improvement Program and administer the program in accordance with the NDIT guidelines, and that on successful award of the grant, that the Chief Administrative Officer be authorized to execute the associated grant agreement. Seconded by Councillor Rabble. I know in our grant breakdown you had covered murals. I just wanted to ask, I would love to see murals done on the fire department doors, on the shop, the bay doors. Is there any rules around what murals could be done? I just wanted to.
The grant guidelines are like this on that one, just because it's a municipally owned building.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that they didn't have to be a certain color or a certain paint.
You can't do it on our side just through the grant.
Well, no, you can do murals on them, is what I'm hearing.
No, it's because it's a municipally owned building. This program doesn't seem to permit expense via the program on buildings that the municipality owns.
Oh, come on.
What about we do something for the firefighters on another local not-for-profit organization?
Fine, we're adding that to our Main Street revitalization. I would love to see murals on those doors. Look, you see, he's got the twinkle.
But like, let's pretend that there's another not-for-profit organization that might be getting new siding eventually, and maybe we do a firefighters mural on that.
When are you going to do a veterans mural on that?
Why not multiple?
There's a beautiful one in Smithers. It's actually highlighted on the NDIT website. Veterans kind of mural, but yeah.
Yes, Councillor.
Shucks, I've heard of it before, and I've heard of other municipalities doing facade improvement tax stuff. But anyways, with this, sorry, it's not on any of the municipally owned properties. It couldn't be on the skating rink or anything like that. It has to be, it's the village helps host the grant, and it's just folks in their own properties applying for money. I'm a bit confused now.
It could go to like the Poughkeepsie Legion, the Seniors Hall, the community church, food bank.
That's correct, Your Worship. This is basically a tool that logically Tile would probably administer to help different businesses spruce up their.
The store, they could definitely use it.
Yeah, so there's the last time we took advantage of it, I think was 2019, and I think there were a few properties that took, like on Highway 2, that took advantage of it, so. Yeah, it's not one that we can take advantage of ourselves. We administer the program kind of on NDIT's behalf and provide, I think a max of there's a ceiling of 5,000 per applicant and 50% of total eligible expenses that we can compensate for.
And now our ECDev, Ms. Ken, she'll be reaching out to businesses, hey? Like, I would really like to have somebody reach out to the store. I know that those are new owners, and I'd love to see them, spruce up the outside a little bit.
Understood. Yeah, that's definitely the approach, and that's a common approach in different communities, but yeah, we can make special efforts to reach out to local businesses.
Yes, Chief.
Is that something that the association could apply for and do murals on the door?
I think it's ownership. The ownership of the asset in the end is what matters. The one thing we were tossing
Look,
around.
it's peeked at me, it's got the twinkles, he wants it, I
It's
want
good,
it
it's
too.
good, yeah. The one thing we were tossing around was the digital sign request for the museum, and unfortunately that dog don't hunt either, because although there's theoretically a way via the grant guidelines you can provide a cost offset, the final destination is proposed to be the school.
Which is in part owned by the municipality,
And by public entity.
And by-
yeah.
Councillor Wong?
It's either a really good idea or a really bad idea.
What?
What if we just donate the doors to the Firemen's Association?
We joked about this.
Did you already joke about doing that? Oh, that's hilarious.
Our joke during the staff meeting this morning was we'll create a dummy shell corporation, Business Not Yours Incorporated, and how it's gonna end up owning, some of the assets that we wanted to.
We have a fire hose, this just doesn't have doors, it's the Firemen's Association, they own the doors.
You tell that to
Yeah, I don't think they'd fall for it, but nice try. Yeah,
Well, I was thinking like a non-profit society emerges, the Facade Society, and it just owns like
A facade size.
slices of volume. It just slices in the middle of everything, and it's just this weird strip in all the different titles.
Well, it sounds like we need to find a way to get murals on those.
Councilor Rowell, you have a motion? I'd like to second that one.
There's already a motion on the floor.
Well,
Private sector. Yeah.
Well, the actual question is, okay, so, the question is the date, so it was extended to November 14th, that's still something that we can apply for, like you guys had enough
Yeah.
time.
That's correct.
And then it's different organizations and businesses or whatnot, private property owners approach the village, say,
Oh, yes.
or vice versa, somehow it happens, but each individual project, it goes through us to go ask for this pot, or it all comes together and we all just do a big bundle, how does it work?
There's, I think, a couple different ways of seeing it done, but basically, communication to eligible applicants in the village. Eligible applicants submit applications. Applications are graded based on the eligibility criteria that are provided by NDIT, and there's decision points from there. If total applications exceed the total amount that you can receive, the 20K under the program. I've often seen it go to council, where council can basically, decide how it wishes for the applications to be divvied up. Does it want to do it by score, or does it want to divvy up based on the total number of applicants and just provide it equally? Or does does council want some kind of a more eloquent grading scenario there? So there's different ways that you can approach it.
Sorry, then the decision-making power is actually village versus at NDIT.
That's the objective. That's the entire objective of the program. We make the application. We are successful with NDIT. We exercise the discretion on which properties would benefit from this funding.
Cool.
Alright, I'm gonna call the question then. All those in favor? And that is carried. Wonderful. Councilor Ravel, number 6.
All right, NDIT Economic Development Capacity Building. The council authorizes staff to apply to the NDIT Economic Development Capacity Building Program for 2026, and then on a successful award of the grant, the Chief Administrative Officer be authorized to execute the associated grant agreement.
Seconded by Councilor Wall. Thank you.
I'd be awfully confused if you folks didn't want to go ahead with this one.
Yeah, I know. Any discussion? I'm gonna call the question then. All those in favor? That's unanimous and carried.
We've talked about this a lot.
Yeah. Councillor Wall, number 7.
That council endorse the Village Boost Group's application to the Union of British Columbia Municipalities Community Emergency Preparedness Fund, volunteer composite fire departments equipment and training program for turnout gear and related safety equipment, and the council authorize staff to manage all aspects of the grant and commit any associated costs or ineligible expenses within the 2026 financial plan if required.
Second.
Third.
Any discussion? Yes.
Yeah, it sounds like they want to help us upgrade some equipment and replace some equipment. So, and we've already gone through a similar stream, I believe, or probably the same.
No,
stream.
we've been funding our own turnout gear for quite a while, actually.
Turning gear was some of the other equipment that we purchased, skid unit.
Yes. Oh yeah, the fire.
Yeah, some other stuff, but this will be the first one for the bunker gear.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yes.
So to me, this I'm in support of this. This just seems like this is now a grant that's available to fund some of the stuff that either the association has been funding or we have been funding.
Yeah.
So no brainer for.
And it's 100% coverage.
Yeah.
It's money sitting on the table here.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, I'm gonna call the question, then all those in favor? It's unanimous and carried. Wonderful. Number 8, BC Hydro Community Re-Greening Program. The council authorized staff to apply to the BC Hydro 2026 Community Re-Greening Program for up to $10,000 in funding to support local tree planting and landscaping initiatives, and that the village commit to providing an in-kind labor for approved planting, and that on successful award of the grant, the chief administrative officer be authorized to execute the associated grant agreement. Seconded by Councillor Wall. A big portion of this is going to go to replanting the trees that we have to cut down. I know that everybody hates to see them go, but they sadly do need to go. They are dead, and they have been identified as a fire hazard. So the plan is that as we take them down, promises we will be putting something back up in its place. Of course, whatever we do plant, we're going to have to be aware of how far down its roots go and how far up its limbs go. So we are looking at more of
Lodgepole pines.
we were actually thinking about sort of bushes, or are they willow, or they're
No, not Willow.
no,
Don't
they're
do Willow.
no. What is it?
Darren was telling us today that it was lilacs, but I don't think that's
No, they're
correct.
not.
No. We're still confirming that.
Yeah. There are sun bushes already along the street that they're on. They've been there for quite some time. They haven't caused any issues to the infrastructure underneath. They're not.
No shade trees though?
We need to be very concerned about the eye, because that's what the problem is that not only do they get into the lines, but the hydro lines, which then creates issues with that and fire hazards. We also need to worry about how far deep their roots go. So those roots for those trees, with us pulling them out, we've had to be very careful, because some of them have moved in underneath the sidewalk blocks, which is why every year our sidewalk blocks keep heaving.
There are tree species out there that work that. There's a garden place in Fort St. John that I will not name, just outside of town.
Yeah.
They have trees there that are advertised as.
That would meet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, you can plant this under power line. It's only going to go 15 feet high.
Oh, okay.
Right? It'll go 15 feet high. It'll go this far out. The root system does this instead of this.
Yeah. Okay. I know. Yeah. Because while the community like us is saddened to see the trees go, the plan has always been to work with BC Hydro for something back.
I would love if we could put shade trees back in. I totally get that we can't put the same species we had before.
Yeah.
But if we could try to find a species of tree that survives in our climate, that could go under the power lines and not wreck our sidewalk. There's other cities that do it.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. No, that's great. Yes, Councillor.
So my understanding is that BC Hydro said, hey, this is going into our power lines and they're rotten or whatever, and they paid to have them cut down.
Yes.
But they didn't pay to replant them, but we're going through this grant stream that they're offering, which is the way that we can get money to replant them.
Also correct.
Also
Okay.
correct.
And so with that,
BC Hydro has been very good to us through this entire thing. They worked really, really well. Not only with our office staff, but they've tried to be as delicate with the community members that are being impacted as they possibly can. And they're very aware that we would, seeing these trees go is something we're not super stoked about, and so they are wanting to kind of work with us to make sure that there is something there.
And so with that, because the power lines are still above, and I'd love to see them underground, I understand it's a whole other expense and a whole other conversation, but with that, anyways, so the village would be ideally applying for this and then replanting it or whatnot, and then they compensate us back. Obviously I'm not a tree expert, but we should probably consult with somebody who knows their thing or two about trees, because, issues with trees is getting root bounded, heaving, excessive growth. But also, okay, if it's constrained in its growth naturally, or however it's ended up, but it's biologically terminating at a certain height or whatever, it should be something that you can still walk under. I'm a tall dude, every friggin' street tree ever whacks me in the face, So it's trying to find this balance, It's gotta
So
be,
we need you to walk under every single.
I'll just go through. Anyways, what I'm getting at is we need to find a tree that doesn't get out in the way, can survive in our climate, looks nice, provides shade, helps reinforce the boulevard, and helps with the kind of urban landscape complete streets piece too. If we can find the magical tree that does all that, and it's cheap, then, let's go for it.
That's a small list. It should be fun.
The challenge is timelines. I think it's an excellent point, and that's where my mind initially went, to the point where I think I was ticking off some of the staff that have been confronting this issue for some time.
Yeah.
But the challenge is Hydro wants them, or is requiring basically them to be pruned or torn down early next week. So the issue in that is, our hope is to try to communicate to some of the residents there that yes, there is a plan for replacement, but overcommitting or committing to that level of depth on it risks them not seeing what
What
there
they're
is a plan
envisioning,
for replacement,
yeah.
in place. So I think it's a bit of a delicate balance to balance. Yeah.
I know
it's an excellent suggestion.
Yeah, no, I'm asking for a unicorn tree. What I'm getting at is something that can actually survive, and then that doesn't cause a problem again. That's kind of what we're looking for, right?
Sounds like you want the trees that are there now.
Well,
No.
something that'll last, right?
Yeah.
There's, out east, there's some beautiful maples that are hundreds of years old, and that, but they grow massive, right?
Yeah.
And then their limbs fall off. So, but then you want something that's there and ready to rumble. You don't want to wait 50 years for it to grow. So if we're putting something in that's already fast growing, well, it's got a short lifespan, right? So we got to figure out what we're going to do here, right? Anyways, all I'm getting at really is somebody who knows trees, we should probably talk to them.
An arborist.
Yeah.
That was a sub-component that we had identified either in rec or in, there's a subplot within the recreation master plan to try to, build this out. Again, I'm suspecting the timelines are kind of forcing our hand a little bit, because reaching out to an arborist for, more formal engagement on it could be good. There are informal approaches, we're very, very open to that too.
Who might be helpful actually is reaching out to the city of Dawson Creek. They've done a lot of tree work. Yes, Council.
I just want to make it known that I would hate to see the rest of those trees go and they get replaced with shrubs.
No, that's fair.
Yeah, I want to see them
No,
be trees.
I really think,
Garbage
I think
collectors,
Mr. Malkinson, maybe reach out to the city of Dawson Creek. They've done a lot of tree work in the past year.
Right on.
And so they might know something that we don't, and that information may be valuable and free. Perfect. All right, I'm gonna call the question, and all those in favor?
So,
We're good? All right. Thank
Wait
you
for
so
that
much
one.
for joining us. You have a lovely night.
Good night.
good night.
All right, bylaws. Okay,
We do it about that, yeah.
yeah. Now, are the recommendations within the,
The recommendation
Special
Bottom
meetings.
of the report, your worship, recommendations for first three readings of the revision and consolidation bylaw.
oh, thank you,
Is it
okay.
on the cover sheet? My
Yeah,
fault.
no, it's me, I was skimming. My eyeballs were doing the really, really fast. Moving on to bylaws 5.1, revision and consolidation bylaw number 1084. I'd like to make the recommendation that revision and consolidation bylaw number 1084 2025 be read for the first time. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Wall. Discussion? Councillor Wall?
I do have one concern with this bylaw,
Mhm.
and that is it allows for things to be changed retroactively if it's an error. And I'm concerned that at some point in the future or whatever, things that weren't just errors could be changed.
Yes, please, Mr. Mutton.
Through your worship, this is something that's probably part and parcel to revision bylaw, in that the regulation does specify that. I'll just read the excerpt here because this was one thing that we were going back and forth on a little bit. The regulation states, to the extent that a provision of a revised bylaw has the same effect as the provision of a previous bylaw for which it is substituted, the provision of the revised bylaw operates retrospectively as well as prospectively, is deemed to have come into force on the date on which the previous bylaw provision came into force. So the concern there is basically, it's salient, it's real. The test that's provided by the regulation and is backed up in the bylaw itself is that the core test would be that the provision that's being revised needs to have the same effect as the provision that bylaw for which it is substituting.
So no material change.
Basically, it needs, if it's the same,
It has
then
to
it
be.
can operate retrospectively.
Yeah.
So if it's
So like you
a
can't,
typo.
yes,
Yeah.
so like you can't change the meat of
Yes.
what it says. You're
I meant
not
to say
allowed
dog,
to.
not dag.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Mhm.
Like you couldn't take something regarding violent dogs or and then change it to cuddly dogs, because then it's changing the meat of what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it
It's
wouldn't,
only small.
my apologies, Your Worship, but it wouldn't be clear to a court that, there's a genuine error on the corporation's part in passing a bylaw like that and changing it from cuddly to, aggressive or whatever. Courts do have some deference for mistakes that are made by legislative bodies, and they make accommodation for it in rare circumstances. If it's, very blatant like that, then,
It would never.
yeah.
Okay. So it's like if there's table and missing decimal
Yes.
places,
Exactly.
it's like obviously we meant it was $5, not $500.
Yes.
Or whatever.
It's exactly that.
Okay.
Yes, Councillor.
So it's an intriguing proposition. So essentially it's delegating a slight piece of power from the council body to administration to say, hey, if there are minor technical errors, mainly, throughout policies and bylaws, you're free to just quickly change it and it's no big deal. Then I'm assuming based off of the kind of certified by the corporate officer piece, like adoption of the bylaw, section 3 part, essentially would that serve as a mark that it has been revised? Because obviously this would be something that, okay, sure, you made adjustments, but the edits should be marked. It should be denoted that this technically isn't the original bylaw. I'm a bit curious as to that point.
Thank you, Your Worship. So, with respect to adoption, just to be clear, there's no, the big utility in a revision bylaw here is that if you folks corrected a typo in your OCP or zoning, you wouldn't need to do all the agency and MODI referrals, that you would normally have to do. So it saves time on that end, and you also don't need to do the public hearings, that are
Over a typo.
Yeah, over a typo.
So if we had an issue with, let's say something we wrote in a bylaw regarding land in the ALR,
Mhm.
we wouldn't have to go back to the Agricultural Land
Yes.
Commission
That's correct.
through the multi-year process
That's correct. Yes.
to say it's 50 whatever street instead of ad.
Yes.
But
Yeah, okay.
Council is not, I guard against the notion that you're delegating bylaw powers to myself. The council's still in the driver's seat in that respect. You still have to adopt it as a bylaw, in order for it to take effect. So I need to draft those revisions, present it to you, you guys adopt it, and then, it's good on the books, but it skirts some of the other legislative obligations that come along with adopting these kinds of bylaws. So that's the utility.
I do appreciate the clarification on that although changes can be kind of made there, suggested then back to council.
Only council can make it.
So it's not some typo correction to everything in the office, and then suddenly we're like, wait a second, I swear that said something different, this kind of Mandela effect situation of, wait, wasn't that slightly different? It's intriguing, and I am curious as to, you know, how this is utilized in other jurisdictions. Is this a quite common practice?
Pretty rare. Sorry, I'm getting into it too much. I am fascinated by it because it's the first time I've done it. I've actually had to lawyers before, and lawyers have, you know, historically told me, yeah, I don't see a point to this. This seems useless. And then you kind of examine it, or you come across the right legal bulletin, and it's like, oh, okay, there is a right approach here. I did pull from 2 existing bylaws in order to create this draft. I think I referenced them in the report. There are some communities that do, Fulton Abbotsford is what I pulled from, and they do have revision bylaws and revision and consolidation bylaws. But yeah, it's not crazy common that you'll see it. Our situation is somewhat unique in that you folks just went through a really long, you know, march to get your OCP adopted, and you know, delaying its implementation for over typos when there is a tool that can help you clarify those typos after the fact seemed like it would be a viable pathway.
We're all human. Things slip through the cracks. Minor issues here and there. I've been on both sides of that.
I think we just read that OCP so many times, we just stopped, like,
We were blind to what the typos were. We were just like changing
blind.
other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? This probably isn't. This is definitely not the first time we've run into this.
No, it's not.
Won't be the last time, and that's just because we're human. So if we can't materially change things this way, and it doesn't provide power to staff to just edit things behind the scenes,
Yeah.
No.
then I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Those are my concerns. So.
Yes, Councilor Rattle.
I know this might be very specific, but let's say, you know, 100 years in the future, somebody's trying to interpret this. Should we add under section 3A, adopted by a bylaw, that it is more specific to that in order for this revision to be effective, that the adoption of a bylaw by council or something, like it's really specific. I know that might be extraneous, but I think that helps clarify that piece that I've just asked as to, okay, how does this actually become effective? Because, you know, adopted by a bylaw, but then that seems like it's referring back to the bylaw process, and yeah.
There's three answers to that.
Okay.
Community charter, you know, one of your undelegatable powers, you're not allowed explicitly via the community charter to delegate the creation of a bylaw to anybody. That's point number 1. Point number 2 is the regulation explicitly mentions that the regulation ends this sentence, to my recollection. It basically says adopted by law, or adopted by a bylaw by council. So that's another element to it too. But basically it does explicitly say that it doesn't need to come back to council. And then the last one is on its face, I don't think it would be any kind of reasonable interpretation of the draft bylaw here to say that this somehow delegates the corporate officer the ability to adopt a bylaw. Like that would be, I'm not saying your comments are absurd, but for somebody to make that claim, that would be an absurd interpretation, and it would be disregarded in my view.
Okay.
So are you making the recommendation for that change, or are you comfortable with the answers that Mr.
I'm happy if you want to make it more clear, it's fine. Sorry.
I like it. I like making it a little bit more clear.
I do think, I know it's, but, you know, some, you know, maybe folks might not have, you know, certain, anyways. I think in 100 years, you know, we might want that there.
Well, and, you know, to feed your narrative, sorry, I'm probably kicking the can too much, but if I wanted to argue in favor of your point, it would be, I have heard narratives before that, you know, the corporate officer is able to correct bylaws for typos. I'm very adamant on that no, you know, council ends up owning, you know, all of the bylaws, and, you know, if there is even a typographical change, you folks need to at least, you know, you need to be steering that. So, yeah, if you want to say adopted by a bylaw of council, then it doesn't hurt.
And so is that your recommendation?
I do recommend that. I guess the proper phrasing would be adopted by a bylaw by council or from council, or what the heck would be the right
By council.
correct phrasing? By council works?
Yeah.
Okay, so I do move
Sorry.
of council.
Yeah.
Is it of council?
That's what I was thinking.
It's
Bylaw
of
of council, because council has the vested power kind of thing. Okay, therefore I make the motion to make an amendment under section 3, part A, that it be changed to adopted by a bylaw of the council, and, semicolon, and.
And you still seconding that, Councillor Wall?
Sure. Yes.
Wonderful. Any other? We good?
I think that's just important in the long term because that then just clarifies it that we're not attempting to delegate these powers, that if changes be suggested, that they kind of come back to council. I think this is really interesting because it says, so we're within our rights to do this through the legislation, that we're able to make minor technical changes that don't substantively change or even really change the meaning whatsoever of these bylaws, but it's a way that we can kind of just quickly fix it and then move on with our lives.
Or make something clear even, like let's say there's ambiguous wording that comes out, and we can go, hey, this was what we meant by it, right? And like,
There's I can read it out, and this the schedule here of the revision powers that are included in the draft bylaw are largely just pulled from the regulation, but get into the more cogent ones. So adding, changing, or omitting a note, heading, title, marginal note, diagram, map plan, or example to a bylaw, omitting the preamble or long title of a bylaw, omitting forms or schedules contained in a bylaw that can more conveniently be contained in a resolution, and adding to the bylaw authority for forms or schedules to be established by resolution, correcting clerical, grammatical, and typographical errors, and making changes without the substance of the bylaw, without altering the substance of the bylaw to bring out more clearly what is considered to be the meaning of the bylaw or to improve the expression of the law.
well, I really like that we could even, let's say we have a map that becomes outdated, but the bylaw is still good, we can just change the map. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is definitely handy in that.
Yeah.
And not to get too onerous, but I am kind of always interested in how things got to where they are, and bylaws are kind of this interesting treasure trove of going back. So I don't see in here, and correct me if I'm wrong, of some sort of archival piece, the archival side of it. Like we always keep whatever was original, right? And that a person can observe and inspect that if needed to kind of compare changes to see if they are substantive or whatnot, or so they have a reference point. So in this bylaw, I don't really see a protection of the archival piece of the original unamended bylaw or policy or whatnot. How would we be able to implement that? Is that a part of like a record-keeping policy, or could we put this within this policy or bylaw? Sorry.
So you're gonna wanna be careful when it comes to archiving old
I know that's
bylaws, well, it's just immense. But you have to remember, our agendas and minutes are part of the public record.
Yes.
And so the old bylaw would actually be
technically there.
And so there's no real need to archive it in its own space, as it's naturally archived within the agenda it was adopted on originally.
You're correct, Your Worship, but also we will archive it. Basically, this will operate, the way I'm interpreting the bylaws that's been presented here, the draft bylaws, even the revisions get treated as an amendment, so they'll be issued a new bylaw number. They won't be assigned the original bylaw number and substitute the one or the other. So they'll operate. What do you think?
I thought it kept the same bylaw number. That's how I interpreted it.
Yes and no. Like it's it'll be a draft that's prepared for you folks that have it, but we'll assign a new bylaw number and inventory that. And the original bylaw will never be destroyed. Whatever is adopted, will continue in that. There will be, yes, amendments that end up yielding consolidated or revised form of a bylaw, but the original, as produced or passed by the body will, always be on our books. And even policies, old policies.
And essentially what I'm getting at, to be more broad, is the protection of whatever was original, right? That a person could always, if they wish, to look back and observe that, right?
Good records management.
That's kind of what I'm getting at, is that I don't see that explicit within this bylaw.
That's already defined by other acts, isn't it?
It's again, it would kind of be, I don't know that it would be necessary to cover via the bylaw because it's in my strident on it, it's just what we do. I haven't been in a place that doesn't keep exhaustive record of either consolidations, which, you don't technically need bylaw authority for. There's a statutory provision for consolidations to be prepared. Amendments, treated the same way. Like, if you have a body or a document that was produced, certainly a bylaw that was produced by this group, you are taking record of that. And even if, typographical, changes are being made at a later date, that original copy is still gonna be retained along.
No, of course, I appreciate that. I just wanted to explore that because that's something that, because I've seen it in other jurisdictions where it's like, this is the consolidated bylaw, please refer, like, header, please refer to like this original if you really want to see the whole darn thing.
Or all 500 of the amendments,
Yeah, oh my gosh, some are very interesting. But it's quite the treasure trove to go through a bylaw and see its history. It's obviously just the protection, like, hypothetically, I'm always thinking of worst case scenario. Some nefarious actors are proposing amendments and then it changes and we're saying it's retroactive. And I think that's kind of the fear that, the worry is that things change and then people go, what the heck? And then they go, well, this is it. We don't have any of the originals. This is what it is. And some word has changed. And although the word may appear to be non-substantive, it might in effect be substantive, right? This is where it gets tricky.
And
I know.
in the sense where there's a dispute between the original and the revised. I get you. Both documents will be retained.
Okay, cool. All right. I thank you for that. I appreciate the clarification. It's just the protection of the public interest, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
So I'm going to continue on with the recommendation that the revision and consolidation bylaw number 1084, 2025 be read for the first time as amended. Okay.
Second time or first time?
First time.
Well, this
That's
is our
first.
first time, and then they've amended it, right? So I want to go ahead with the first reading as amended, which was seconded by Councillor Wall. Okay, and so I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? And that's unanimous and carried. For the second time, that the revision and consolidation bylaw number 1084 2025 be read as amended, seconded by Councillor Wall.
And the amendment is just specific to 3A with
Yeah.
council's
Correct.
piece?
Yeah.
Should I ask those same questions?
No, you're killing me.
Okay.
For transparency.
Yeah, for transparency.
Name every bylaw.
I'm gonna call the question. All those in favor? It's unanimous and carried.
1083.
And then for the third time, that the revision and consolidation bylaw number 1084 2025 be read as amended. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Wall. Discussion. All those in favor? And that is unanimous and carried.
Cool.
Wonderful. Now, I have a quick question for you. So I'm gonna read the in-camera, but make the note that we're gonna move to the in-camera after that we resume the committee of the whole.
Read the in-camera notice.
Yes.
Why don't we just do in camera and go back to committee of the whole?
Well, because
I am asking him if what's the cleanest way.
I think the act says that we're supposed to read that notice prior to adjourning to committee of the whole, or sorry, prior to adjourning to in-camera. So yeah, in-camera is probably neatest at this point, your version.
In-camera first and then going back to the committee of the whole.
It's a little annoying, but it's probably the most
Nope.
appropriate.
That's totally fine. I wanted to do what was ever cleanest for you.
we'd have to exclude the public.
Oh, and then in, and then out, and then in.
All
Okay.
the public that are here today.
All right, item number 6 then, recommend the council close the meeting to the public pursuant to section 91E of the community charter as the subject matter relates to the acquisition, disposition, and or expropriation of land or improvements. Seconded by Councillor Wall. All those in favor? Right, move it in camera. We're
Thank
gonna
you.
take a short recess as well.
Thanks.